Well, welcome everybody to the webinar, Valves and Valve Train Technology with Supertech Performance. We have with us Willie Tagliavini, founder and owner. We have Martin Tagliavini, Chief Marketing Officer for Supertech. And then we have Scott Onishi from OCD Works, based in Johnson City, Tennessee. So welcome, guys. Thank you for being here. Located in the heart of Silicon Valley, Supertech was born from the same fertile ground as many other companies in this area, utilizing cutting-edge technology. Supertech fuses this technology with passionate people with over 30 years of experience in creating the highest performance valves and valve train components available. Supertech provides the racing market with superior valves and valve train components, whether it's drag racing, rally, road racing, or any. You know, as Francis said, we have dinner every year with Martin and Willie. Just great guys, great product, great company. And Willie, when it comes to Supertech Performance, do you want to share your history and the company history real quick so people know kind of the background before we get into some of the other technical aspects of Supertech?
Well, I am a mechanical engineer, you know, and I always liked cars, you know, and engines. And I used to work for several years at Ford Motors in Argentina, developing, you know, cars and engines, being part of that development department. And then I moved to the US, you know, and I started, you know, making a deal, you know, with OEM manufacturer in Argentina to make, you know, high performance parts, especially for the sport compact market, you know, mostly overhead cam engines. You know, that is a technology that, you know, I know much better than, you know, the other V8 engines, you know. And so, you know, we decided to, you know, open up, you know, Supertech here in California. And, you know, it took off, you know, pretty fast, you know, and we developed, you know, many components for almost every Japanese and European engine in the world, and now also, you know, in the American market, you know, especially overhead, you know, cam engines.
Yeah, very cool. And Martin, as a marketing officer, how would you describe kind of Supertech's position in the racing marketplace?
I think we joined the industry at a pivotal point where, you know, the sport compact, so to speak, was kind of taking off. So as a company, we were able to kind of grow as the industry or sport compact industry grew as well here in the United States. And I think that's what allowed us to grow as a company. The V8 market was already established, but, you know, for us, sport compact, we kind of grew together, and now we're at the forefront of all this new trends. New manufacturers are changing to small displacement engines, overhead cams. So now we're well positioned for all the transitions that are going on with so many manufacturers today. So from a marketing standpoint, everything's kind of been played into our hands, so to speak. So in that regards, we've always been able to grow, and I see that we'll be able to continue to grow because I see more trends in manufacturers changing to small displacement, overhead cams. So I only see a bright future for companies like ours.
And then I'd like to go to OCD Works and talk to you, Scott. Tell us about OCD Works. Yeah. I looked up the website real quick. I use the word bitchin'. I'm from California, so it's a bitchin' website. So tell us what you're into. Really cool stuff.
We do with OCD Works. We actually manufactures for CNC porting and the cylinder head, and then also completing an actual complete cylinder head to provide it actually to dealers or customers. And then we also make all the parts in-house for billet parts, such as valve covers and timing covers, or anything that is actually just related to kind of modern hubs. And it just pretty much actually is what we make it in-house. We also design everything in-house, and then we kind of work with a lot of extra professional racers along the way to working with Supertech, Wheelies, and Martins, and great companies like them to just working together to complete the cylinder heads, which without valve train components, we can't really win or actually just compete. So at that point, it's just having to have good source of actual valve train that you just relied on would be a very good point. So, but we actually just engineered, tested all in and within a house, and we were actually just trying to provide the actual best possible product as we can.
Yeah, very cool. I'd like to learn more. When I'm in the neighborhood, I'm going to stop by. And before I got questions, and then everybody watching, you can go down to the chat option at the bottom of the screen. You can type in questions there. I'll keep an eye out for them, and we'll put them to Willie and Martin and Scott. So go ahead and start your questions now. Willie, when you come here to Online Race Industry Week and representing your company, Supertech, are there any kind of opening remarks? Is there something you want to start off with, Willie?
In the sport compact market, you mean, right?
Say that one more time.
Yeah, in the sport compact market, you mean, right?
You can talk about anything about Supertech, as far as just your opening remarks for this webinar.
Yeah, well, we, started in this market, where it was very new, basically, when we started, Supertech here, especially in the Japanese and European market. And from there, we started developing, all kind of, valve train components, from valves, valve springs, all that kind of things, to improve, the performance of the engine, trying to provide, the best option, that the market was requiring, for high performance, road racing, drag racing, and now, doing more developments, for engines that are, turbocharged, providing, higher temperature alloys, sodium filled valves, and that kind of stuff. With high quality, product, that's, the main thing, provide high quality that people that know, how to evaluate a product really know and understand what quality means, So good engine builders realize that, when they start looking, measuring, what a high quality part is, then, from there it translates to durability and performance, But the quality is seen from the start.
That's for sure.
And of course, then, we are always, improving, the demand also, the components are increasing, more RPMs, more power, more turbocharged pressures. And so we are always there, trying to, evaluate what improvements we need to do, to supply the market.
Yeah. And then, Scott, how would you describe your working relationship with Supertech?
It's very exciting, and also we know them pretty well, and just actually every trade show, then in just the different occasions. But we used to do a lot of a different. As a company, we do a lot of R&D. So we have actually cylinder head that is sent in and have a different, manufacturer's parts. So for us to be able to, there's no perfect world that actually this is the only part that will survive in any kind of situation. So obviously things will break. But in the case of actually what we do, we want to give it actually a customer or a dealer as the best actually product as possible. But it's just that sometimes it's very hard to work with a company that some things actually you can't purchase is actually like a support, in terms of actually just like, okay, this is something that we're having an issue with, and it's just something that you reach out to the manufacturer. It's like, well, this is actually our engineer looked at it, it's perfectly fine. Certain things actually just are, like there's a good and bad, but at the end of the day, Supertechs are, always willing to just listen to the dealers and also take the notes, and the fact that okay, did happen. So what can we do to improve it? You know, as a company, working with something that we can't trade off with the money is just something that their customer service goes a long way to be able to provide the same mentality of us providing the best products possible, and also they're trying to do the exact same thing. So, you know, it's just a old school way of saying it. Just, you know, if you have the same mentality, then it's easier to get along. But, you know, it's harder to have one side is all sales mentality, other one's actually all engineering mentality. It's just kind of hard to deal with. So, in a sense, it's been working wonderful. You know, I couldn't ask any better to just working with both of the, you know, the guys there. But, you know, like I said, just there's a good and bad in all parts. You know, for us, it's pretty much determine exactly what's good, what's not. And then we're just kind of simply rely on the message to manufacturers like Supertech to say, hey, can we actually improve this? And there actually is one of the only few that would actually listen to the, you know, kind of a just customer's voice to take in and say, hey, you know, we designed this, but let's make it changes so that, you know, now these days, everything's actually just kind of pushes to the limit, and that we don't know, even though we calculate everything. So, you know, it's been, you know, not really challenging, but it's like, it's a very surprising to find a company that actually, you know, kind of willing to listen, kind of like that same level as you.
I love that about Supertech. And there's a couple of other companies that do a really good job listening. So instead of just coming to customers and saying, I have this, I'm selling it to you, this is why you want to buy it, to actually also have another gear, we're just listening to people like you, Scott, and other race teams and soaking up insight about how to make the part better. In this business, in the racing business, that counts for a lot. So that's a really remarkable aspect of Supertech, and I've seen it in action, and some of the best companies in racing. Martin,
that's how we learn, because, you know, from a manufacturing or technical point of view, we see one side of the thing, but, you know, the engine builder is, you know, seeing the other side, experiencing, you know, the product and the performance. So that, you know, interchange of, you know, information is so important for everybody.
Yes, I agree. If I'm a race engine builder this year 2020, what's the most important thing I need to know right now, kind of this minute, about Supertech and the company's valves? Like a race engine builder who hasn't worked with you before, what do they need to know about your valve line?
Well, you know, we offer different kind of alternatives, you know, in materials depending on the application. You know, for natural aspirated, you know, for turbocharged engines, we offer different materials, you know, like stainless steel, different grades for the intake and the exhaust. In turbocharged engines, we offer Inconel or pneumonic alloy, and then we go on extra step and offer, you know, for the exhaust, hollow sodium field valves. So we offer different alternatives for, you know, different applications. Then we are very serious about the quality. You know, if you see our valves, you know, all of them have a mark where we can trace, you know, the manufacturing story of that valve. So we take it very seriously. If you have any issue, we have any issues from a valve, we can trace the manufacturing, the history of the manufacturing of a valve. So that means quality. You know, we are always on top of that. You know, it's very important.
And now I'll start taking questions from the audience, so I'll just read them to you. What manufacturing steps do you take to get your valves to last as long as they do?
Well, basically, is, you know, to have a good quality source of raw material. Then we do the, you know, the forging of the valve. We take, you know, quality control in every step of the manufacturing. That's why we had to do like a batch of, you know, for example, 100 valves. Well, we had to do extra valves in order to have quality control in every step to, you know, take away, you know, the valves that are not that good. So in the end, you know, every machining step also has, you know, quality control. We check everything, you know, we take care of the precision of the valve. There are specific tolerances that we need to accomplish. And then that makes, the valve, also to have a, good longevity, the quality, the precision. If you measure, the eccentricity of the seat of the valve, in reference to the stem, you will see what we are talking about. Probably unsurpassed in this industry,
Mhm.
So when you do that, you realize, oh, this is these people take care of, the quality and the precision of the valve.
Okay.
And
We have a
then we do the nitriding treatment, also to improve, the performance of the valve, with low friction, good wear resistance.
And then we have a diverse group in the audience, and somebody maybe new to racing as well as seasoned professional race engine builders. So here's a question. In a turbocharged DOHC application, how large to make the valve sizes?
Well, sometimes that may be a better question for Scott, because what you do is, in every engine you can test, depending also on the application. If it is a naturally aspirated, but the question was for a turbo, right?
Turbocharged, yeah.
Turbocharged.
For all of you.
Yeah. Also, I guess, depends on the application. We, deal with people like, engine builders like Scott, that dedicate quite a bit of time analyzing what size of valve, works better, for example, in a turbocharged engine, for what they plan to do with the engine. Let's say, road racing or drifting, they have, different ways of developing the power. So, that is defined, for every engine through, the engine builder. And we get the request, okay, this is what works better. Please do this.
Scott, any advice from you for making sure you have the right size valve?
There's always, it's not like old people actually just like kind of have a domestic say like, hey, you can't replace for displacement. It is somewhat true, but it is, as Willie said, every cylinder head has a different unique characteristic and then also application. So turbocharger applications, normally you would want to basically, even in this is a natural aspirator the same way, but you want to make sure your cylinder heads port sort of match with the valve side. So, if your ports is a very small, and go in the larger side of the valve, which will actually give you minimum amount of actually just a gain. So you would always want to match with the size of a valve, reference to your, I guess, degree of modification in your cylinder head. So, if it's stock, you would want to keep it at actually the standard size. But if it was actually something that, like you got a larger turbocharger that actually moves a lot more CFM than an air, then obviously you want to consider actually putting in an actual, bigger valve to be able to take advantage of actually just more CFM. So just the advice would be to just to make sure that your application is matched. So like you don't want to run smaller turbochargers applications with humongous valve, vice versa. So you always want to look at it, see what's the adequate amount of size. And then it just Supertech always has standard size and an oversized. Oversized mean, normally have 1 millimeter, 2 millimeters. It all depends on the manufacturer of, company that which actually has, but we have actually different variations of the sizes that you could actually select. Depends on the seats as well. So.
Okay. And then when you go to the Supertech website and look up valves and what Supertech does, it's clear that you welcome custom work when it comes to valves. You're ready to work with people on a custom basis. And if there's a race engine builder watching, he likes the idea of getting something real specific done, Willie and Martin. How does the custom process work for having custom valves done?
Usually an engine builder or a customer will send us a sample of their valve or drawing. And that's how kind of we've always expanded our inventory as well. If there's something we don't have in our inventory, perhaps someone wants to make something we don't carry, we'll take a look at that, see if there's demand, and that's how we also increase our inventory or our demand for different applications. But we're always open to making custom stuff, even if it's a small item for customers. There might be more out there that share the same qualities as that particular customer, so we can make more. So we're pretty open to anything that's custom. Like I said, we always, because you never know who else out there wants more, that product itself. So we're pretty open when it comes to custom. We're pretty easy. You can send drawings, samples. We can take a look at that, see where we can improve it, or make it exactly the way a customer wants it made.
Do you ever tell them, no, that's a very bad idea?
Sometimes customers will want to use some material that they think is best. And in some occasions, it doesn't work out. So we have to tell them, that may not be suitable for what they're trying to accomplish. So we try to guide them if we see something that we think it may not work, or improvements as well. But if someone wants to make something, for testing, we're open.
Yeah. Okay, very good. And then, is there anything new at Supertech? Something new with the product line that you'd like to talk? Here we are at the beginning of December. Is there something new that people may not be aware of in your products that you want to talk about?
I think as far as our product, we're always expanding. So we're trying to get involved more in through the Coyote engine, the Ford 5.0 liter Coyote, which is probably the V8 version of a overhead cam engine. It's kind of, we're hoping that it's our segue into the V8 market, which we haven't dabbled in. So, hopefully our idea at PRI was to kind of introduce the Coyote engine as our stepping stone to venturing to the V8 market. So that was our new idea for the PRI. We're also, a new product for us is going to be to introduce full cylinder heads, CNC machined, full of our products. So one person can call in and purchase a CNC head for the Honda application. So we've been working on that for the last couple of years. So that's going to be kind of an introduction as well to PRI. And to kind of expand the line as well. We're always trying to expand, keep moving forward, always developing new parts. We kind of reiterated, we work with engine builders to try to fine tune our product and try to improve in areas that we can. Even the products we've been making for the past 15 years.
Yeah, very good. Well, we're trying to provide something of a trade show experience here at Online Race Industry Week. So it's great to hear kind of what you're planning to bring it to PRI, which we would have had at PRI if not for the pandemic. So thank you for sharing that. And thank you for updating us. And then we're here to talk about valves, but do you have other products other than valves? I don't know if everybody knows that.
Yeah, obviously when we started making valves, everything that goes in the cylinder head complements the valves. So our idea was a valve needs springs, so we set out to manufacture springs as well. And anything that goes along with the springs, the retainers, the keepers or locks. And from there, we kind of kept growing and developing more parts that go along with the cylinder head components. Okay. Always keeping in mind that valves being our number one product, and anything that complements the valves and the valves that we make.
Yeah, we have also pretty unique product, not that unique, but the bucket lifters, the tappets also. We are very good with those ones also, and we are supplying all over the world the tappets, what they call also people bucket lifters.
Yeah, let's talk about that. So we exhibit at the Autosport Show. You exhibit at the Autosport Show. We have a great dinner and a night of setup.
Yeah.
Just describe your international sales program. So it's not just the United States. What's going on outside the borders of the United States for Supertech?
Yeah, you want
Well, you know, like I said, most of European countries carry overhead cam engines, so it kind of plays into, again, our realm of manufacturing. So for us, sport compact meaning anything that's not American. And in Europe, everything, obviously, we have a lot of manufacturers like Renault, Peugeot, Vauxhall, Seat. Obviously, VW is very big in Europe. So most of our manufacturing products carry well in European market. So that's why we're pretty big in Europe or other parts, you know, Asia, Middle East. All these countries manufacture, or we manufacture parts to fit most of the engines and marquees of those countries. So we do just as much business in the United States as we do outside the United States.
Okay, you know what? All those dinners, I didn't know that you do so much business internationally. Congratulations. And Scott, I want to get back to you just to kind of, I really appreciate companies like yours because you're kind of on the front lines of the battle out there to sell racing parts. What's hot right now? What's captured your attention? What are people approaching you to do right now?
We do quite a bit of, you know, like a new platform, new Supers come out, new BMW stuff is coming out. Up to a couple of years, we never had actually European applications that we were working with. Now these days we do Audis and then also, you know, the BMW applications to be able to, you know, just complete the cylinder heads, you know, starting from cylinder head CNC ported to, you know, just complete it as actually just pretty much ready to go setup. So a lot of the newer cars application coming along, and then also we typically find the limits of actually just things that are breaks and, you know, like we'll do R&Ds and, you know, such in nature. So we'll start making a lot of billet parts to replace with things that actually just, you know, like the factory would actually normally won't, you know, like replace, and then just as aftermarket, and then we will actually just find the limits. And if it's nobody makes one, then we'll make one. Yeah. So that's the kind of our mentality, and then just the, you know, just having an extra, like, you know, support like a Supertech. It's easy to, you know, deal with, and even in new applications that we'll kind of tackling into, sometimes it's just kind of a very harder applications, but it's, you know, the valve parts are kind of very unique, and it is also similar parts in an ear. So like some application was already existed, and then, you know, ended up actually might work on this new application. So, you know, those are the things, that knowledge that actually Supertech would have, and just easily pick up a call, and, you know, pick up a phone and call, and just to find out, okay, well, you guys had this applications already, you know, it just came out this model. So, you know, it's kind of having an extra newer applications are very challenging, but also exciting in a way, because all this pandemics are happening and everybody's are kind of not be able to do a lot of things that they wanted to do, go out there racing, and, you know, other than watching a racing and the spectators and the standpoint. So, you know, us actually just kind of trying to bring it up more of actually just hype, you know, and also, you know, all this actually just the, I guess just the positive note, you know, of what coming next, and then, you know, turn into next year will be the newer stuff that we do. And then also, you know, Martin's and all, everybody's getting ready to release the newer stuff like Coyotes, and, you know, the other applications will be exciting to work with. And then, and also, you know, excited to break stuff, you know. So, I mean, it just kind of, that's a one way to actually improve, and just, you know, just something to break it, and you know the limit, and you make better parts. So it's just the kind of how we do. So
that makes the racing industry go round. The fact that something's working last week, but you push, and then parts start breaking. And then Scott, do you sell just in the region as far as where your customers come from, Scott, or do you have sales going beyond kind of Tennessee area?
So we don't do any extra just Tennessee sales. We're a lot of them, it's a contracted work. So we're contracted overseas, and also we, you know, largely contracted through the United States. I'm myself actually from Japan, and I grew up in Japan for 18 years. So I married the wife, woman, the beautiful my wife. So it's kind of I'm stuck in this Tennessee and middle of nowhere, but it is working out for us because it's really nice and calm, unlike it just in California and a lot of things to do every day. But we get to do a lot of stuff that's able to do that we can't do in California, or just on the West Coast, and we can just kind of in between and doing a lot of stuff. So our sales are reach out to the overseas, over the world, but mostly as OCD Works, we're not like equipped to sell as individual, like, basically wholesale into more of a contract work. So.
Well, Tennessee's beautiful country. I come from Southern California. When I go to a place like Tennessee, I marvel at it's green everywhere and actually water in the rivers. So it's a beautiful country. All right. And then one of the really fun things to talk to Martin and Willie about is they go racing. And so they live racing throughout the week at Supertech. But then I think they talk mostly about racing. When they're not talking about Supertech, they're talking about going racing. And it's just infectious, the enthusiasm, talking to you both about the way you go racing. So why don't you share with us kind of where you go racing? It's not the 24-hour of Le Mans, but it looks like a blast. You're having fun.
Yeah, so we race obviously with NASA and SCCA, kind of club racing, nothing, too professional, just an outlet for us to have fun. Obviously, we've gotten a lot more, what would I say, developed a lot more of the cars where there were once a track car, became a race car. Now, the need to win and to do better has overtaken, and the cars now get more developed, try to get lighter, more power. So whether, if we're not here or when we are here, sometimes we're in the back tinkering with the cars, racing. Obviously this year got short, as the whole industry did. So we're looking forward to next year to get back out there and be as competitive as we can be. We race against each other now. So, we work together and we try to duke it out on the track when we can, so long as we stay out of each other's ways.
Yeah. Sometimes we get pretty close together. Yeah. So more than we would like.
I'd like to watch that. And then do we want to go back into the manufacturing process? Is there something that race engine builders should know about the manufacturing process? I know you talk about on the website ultrasonic tests, X-rays, laser equipment, and applications like computerized finite element analysis. Do you want to talk about some specific aspects of the manufacturing process not everybody knows about?
Well, we start with the design, and then if it is something that new, we do like a finite element analysis. To make sure, that every modifications, have, are in place and, they have a, good quality in starting from the design. And then, our manufacturing starts, from the very scratch, from the forging, heat treatments, machining, and there are many steps of machining and heat treatments, and every step, has a quality control. And then we, mark the valves, with a date code where we can, have a history of every valve that we manufacture in order to keep, everything, controlled. Know that if anything at some point went wrong, we know what happened and we can correct that, from a manufacturing point of view.
And we talk about the patented super finishing of the surface. Explain that exactly.
Well, we do like, after we do the heat treatment, the last thing that we do is, we do like a polishing, of the valve, in order to get a better finish. We do it on the nitrided valves, which actually the nitrided valve is it's a process called, you can find it on the internet, it's called QPQ, It's a mixture of nitriding, polishing, and another heat treatment, to coat the valve with a deep black color. And then also on the, some valves that cannot be nitrided, like the Inconel valves, because they are nickel based. Then we do like a regular or, well-known chrome coating. And that one also needs to be, super finished, by doing a polishing in order to reduce the friction of the valve, the roughness of the valve, the surface.
And then you make a point that every valve tip is hardened beyond a Rockwell hardness number of 52. I hope I said that correctly.
So the minimum Rockwell hardness of the tip of the valve, we do welding, for stainless steel cannot be hardened beyond, let's say, 36 Rockwell C. So the tip in many engines need to be much harder than that. So we weld a wafer that, can be hardened at a minimum of 52 Rockwell C and beyond. And
I know strict tolerances is really important at Supertech. And I know and can guess at why it's important with race engine builders as well, but let's just put it on the table. When you talk about strict tolerances, what is the philosophy and what is the practice for Supertech?
In respect to the tolerances, what's the practice? Well, we establish, tolerances in every, part of the valve, the stem diameters, the surface finish, the length of the valve, basically also the tolerance between the seat of the valve to the groove where the keeper goes. That's probably one of the most important ones because, that regulates, the install height of the valve, Then you have the margin with a different tolerance, And so we have strict tolerances in all of those dimensions, in order to, keep the quality of the valve, always, all of them the same, to keep the same valve to guide clearances. And so which we believe it's important. The tolerance in the eccentricity of the head, it's also important to the sealing of the valve and to avoid, bending of the valve in the, close and opening of the valve, for long durability and better sealing, of course.
Yeah. Okay, again, I'll take a question from the audience. We have a diverse group watching us. So this question is, why is the backside of exhaust valves more funnel shaped when compared to the penny on a stick design of intake valves? Is it to enhance gas flow or to conduct heat away from the head?
Well, basically because the exhaust valve is a hot valve, the flow, on the intake valve, you are sucking, the air. So you need to have a very thin, neck to improve the flow. The exhaust valve, the air is pushed out, from the cylinder. But on the other side is the hot valve, So the tulip highly improves the rigidity of the valve. When the valve starts to get very, very hot, the valve tends to warp. When it starts warping, it starts losing, leaking. And when it starts leaking, it creates very hot spots on the seat of the valve and end up burning. So that tulip, on the neck of the exhaust valve, it's very important to have good rigidity, avoid deformation at very high temperatures.
Okay, and another question, how sensitive is valve weight to valve train operation and performance?
I'm sorry, say it again, it's how?
Yeah, I'm just taking it from the chat question. How sensitive is valve weight to valve train operation and performance?
Well, obviously, there is always a compromise there, you want the valve to be the lightest that's possible because, you have a spring, that has to control the valve, The lighter the valve, the lighter the spring that you can have, you try to, have a lightweight valve train, in order to move it, better at high RPMs. So the lighter the valve, the better for the valve train. The higher RPMs you can rev with a certain spring. But there is always, also a compromise. Like we were just mentioning, okay, the tulip of the valve, on the exhaust valve makes it, heavier also, Many times you contrast that, you make a dish on the valve to make it lighter, but the tulip of the valve makes it, heavier, but that's the compromise you take, to have a stronger valve also, especially in turbocharged engines, where the valve gets very, very hot.
Yeah. Scott, I want to ask you, I'm not a race engine builder, so I'm a little bit over my head. Is there a question for race engine builders that you think I should ask Supertech, or do you have a question to ask Supertech?
Well, that's a good question. Let's see. I don't know. That's like kind of gray area that I hadn't thought about it yet. So, yeah, it kind of just put me in a spot. I guess just the, it's kind of good to just actually because the Supertech and it has a one unique, and they use actually just exotic materials like Inconels and things of that nature. Other companies are starting making titaniums and all that stuff. Like Willie just said, it's just every application has its good and bad, so you have to use what it's good. Weight as well, but is there time of actually just like variation where we could actually get to see more of a titanium stuff like a valves and the stuff in the future? Like that would be kind of a good to see as additions, to if there's something in the works or something like that. Just that would be actually just our curiosity, and also be customers always start to push in more to better materials, and then just pushing and more horsepower in every year. So something like that would be good to have, and then it's just it'll be nice to see as a new product. So that's something like that you guys will be working on.
Well, I'll pass over to you, Willie and Martin. In that area, when it comes to materials, are you working on something? I guess you always are.
Yeah, so titanium, it's always available, but as we mentioned, obviously not going to be used in the turbo engine. So I guess you could use it on the intake side. You wouldn't necessarily use it on the exhaust side, as it would be too brittle of a material for the temperatures. That's why you would have Inconel. On the intake side, yes, you could use it. Sometimes most customers will forego titanium due to the cost of titanium, as it is probably almost about double or triple the cost of a stainless steel valve or an Inconel valve. So I think based on our customers, most of them would use stainless steel over titanium. But yes, we would love to have more accessibility and manufacturing of titanium valves, which we already do. We do for motorcycle engines, which are all mainly titanium. Just the automotive industry hasn't caught up to that yet, unless you're doing very high end, naturally aspirated 11,000 RPM engines and above, where titanium is needed.
And then the company recently moved into a larger space. Is that correct?
Yeah, we moved here beginning of 2019. Yep. So we've been here a year. Will be a year.
Almost 2 years.
Almost 2 years.
Yeah, congratulations on that. Do you still have more space, or have you filled it all up?
No, it's pretty filled up now.
It's amazing how that happens.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
And Martin, we're talking a lot about the technical side. On the marketing side, when it comes to your desk and we look at what's on Martin's desk, what are you working on the marketing side?
Well, on the marketing side, I think we're just trying to create a better website, a better platform for our dealers, more data driven. I think that'll help our dealers try to get more information out there to our customers. Technical information that sometimes is hard to find unless you're really searching through our website. So we're trying to get that information out to our customers via our dealers, so improving our data based on our website. So that's kind of what we've been working. That's kind of got put on the back burner due to COVID and the increase in sales that we've had to adjust over the last couple of 8 months that the industry as a whole has kind of seen, as well as trying to get the most of our return of investments through sponsorships, advertising, and things of that nature. So always trying to move forward and not stay stagnant with the same things that we've been doing in the past. So trying to find new avenues to advertise.
Very cool. And here's another technical question from the audience is, let me see. Do you have any info on how long titanium valves may last during a race season?
That will depend on the engine and the application.
I think so, yeah.
In a race, pure race environment, aggressive environment, maybe we can say, very roughly 1,000 miles or so, and then you will need to inspect them, to check, for any condition of the valve,
Yeah.
And that's more road racing. Drag racing, obviously, will have something different. So it'd be hard to say unless we're talking about a specific form or application within a certain, race condition. As any engine will vary, even two racing in the same category, they could be tuned differently. Different components will make it, change its life.
Yeah, you're right. And Scott, we're getting to the 50-minute mark and we're kind of wrapping up everything on time. So we start the next webinar right at the hour. Scott, when it comes to OCD Works, what are you working on right now? And what do you got coming up in the future that maybe you'd like to tell people about?
Like, what are we working on currently?
Yeah, and anything kind of in the works and in the future that you could kind of talk about right now?
We do a lot actually NDA work, but also actually we got a lot of new product as far as actually for the Supras. Also new markets that actually we're making actually a lot of billet parts. That will actually just be coming out on actually January, and it will be introducing a lot of stuff. But also we'll actually just kind of weighing an idea of actually just put in a complete cylinder head, and then also having an actually just different kind of just applications other than in our outside of comfort zone. So we can do all actually just R&D and reverse engineering for any cylinder head porting and that nature. But it's just a kind of if you stop pushing yourself, you're pretty much the limits are just that's there. So for us, it's just like, well, we could, we keep pushing until we can't solve. So, that would be actually something that would be keep, pushing yourself and working with the Supertech is a great company, and then just, having to have that same mentality, and then it would be great. And then, I'm pretty sure we'll have, much more better product to be out in the next year.
Okay, I'm going to ask you personally to register at EPARTRADE.com. We want you looking through EPARTRADE.com and sourcing parts there. So you have to do that, Scott. And then we're coming to the 50-minute mark. Willie, just some final comment, but before we hand it over to Francisque, final comment about Supertech?
Well, our main thing here is to make parts that people can use without any trouble. any trouble to be installed, and for longevity, any for all kind of application that we can make them for, that are popular, in this overhead cams market. So we are here open to listen, to our customers, the market, what they need, what they need to be, what it needs to be improved, and to make things better, for everybody, especially for the, engine builder.
Well, thank you. And we're at the 50-minute mark, and so we've got to roll to the next event. I could talk to you guys for hours, and we always have so much fun at our dinners. So thank you very much for being part of Online Race Industry Week. It's just great to have a company of the quality of Supertech Performance. I'm sorry I wasn't aware of OCD Works, and now I'm going to tell everybody about OCD Works. I mean, a very cool company, Scott. Okay, Francis, back to you.
Thank you, sir.
Scott, thank you for jumping on last minute to help our good friends at Supertech. Thank you very much, Willie and Martin. Thank you for support. You guys were right there at the beginning when we launched, and that's because of you and the IBAC and the IMI and Stand 21 and CP of the world that we are able to produce this event this week, because you guys believed in us 2.5 years ago. So thank you very, very much.
Registering on EPARTRADE is easy. Fill out your name, email, phone number, and create a secure password. Next, select your business type. Choose supplier if you're looking to display products or services and connect with buyers. Choose racing business if you're looking to find new parts and connect with suppliers. Choose race team if you own or are a member of a professional racing team. Begin typing your company name. We most likely already have your company in our database, which you can select from the drop-down. Then, enter your job title. Choose Claim Company if you'll be editing your company profile. Other members of your company can choose Join Company if they'd like to use EPARTRADE as well. You can view and agree to our terms of use here. If you'd like to receive our weekly newsletter, choose Accept. Click Register Now, and your registration will be submitted for approval. You'll need to confirm your email once it goes through. To keep our platform industry only, you'll be approved shortly after. If we require additional proof of business, we'll reach out. Welcome to EPARTRADE.